Let's get ready to rumble!
As tall as I.
I'll stand on a box, honestly. I'll be very happy. Now, we had loads of emails.
I think we have not so much chances to do.
Oh, I think you'll be great.
Career.
Neil Dickinson has sent us an email. He says, hello, Vladimir. I've been a huge fan of you and your brother, Vitaly. You are great gentlemen, ambassadors and role models, and I congratulate every success that you have both achieved. You are a credit to your family and your nation, which is great to hear, isn't it?
Who was that?
That was a guy called Neil Dickinson who sent an email.
Neil.
Yeah.
Neil, thank you very much for such a pleasant words. I'm usually taking compliments like that from a female, not from a man. But it's okay. You know, I'm taking it. And thank you very much.
The reason I bring it up, though, is because there are not always very gentlemanly people in your sport, especially of late. And I'm thinking of Derek Chisora and I'm thinking of David Hay. Neither of them have been particularly complimentary about you. And I think that I'm looking at this picture now. I mean, how offensive did you find that? That's him with both you.
You know, Sam, I don't want to raid on the parade too much, but I'm kind of getting sick of hearing how great ambassadors they are for the sport. You know what I mean? I'm really getting sick of it, and how everyone basically else is just a demon. And I'm not going to drag it into a race war. I'm just getting sick of it. I mean, Derek Chisora or David Hay haven't been found to be using PEDs. Vitaly did. How comes whenever we talk about James Toney, Roy Jones, Lamont Peterson, Berto, or any other fighters, I mean, even Evander Holyfield has never been caught, but his name always seems to surround that type of suspicion of drug taking. And he's never been caught. Vitaly has been caught. He's the heavyweight champion of the flagship division of boxing. Yeah, and he's been caught using them. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Because it doesn't matter if it's amateur, pro, kickboxing, orthodox boxing. You're not allowed to use PEDs at no stage of your career. Bottom line. Every time we talk about Dwayne Chambers in the UK, we're led to think about the nandrolone he took 8 or 9 years ago. And personally, I think he should be banned for life from the Olympics. He's going to compete in the Olympics. For some reason, they've bent their rule. But the rule was, if you get caught, it's a life ban. So to me, he shouldn't be able to compete. But now he's being able to. Yeah? So before you try and say he's dragging it into a race thing, no. They should ban Dwayne Chambers for life because he knew the consequences. If he got caught taking nandrolone or any other PED, what would happen? And they're saying, well, 8, 9 years is long enough. No, it's not. It's supposed to be a life ban. The other side of me who's trying to say, oh, we should clean it up, the good old days, is saying, what other aspect of your life is squeaky clean? I'm talking about, you know, politics, processed food in the supermarket, takeaway food chains, drugs everywhere, methamphetamine, heroin, weed, skunk weed especially, alcohol and liquor is just ready and available everywhere. Politicians pocketing expenses. I mean, if the great institutions like the church and parliament are corrupt, how the fuck are you going to clean boxing up? You know, I mean, sometimes we need to get over ourselves a bit about the good old days. When were these good old days? When were they? You know? You mean, you ever watch them old boxing films? When they put horseshoes in the gloves? Where do you think they just plucked that out of the sky? No. There have been people tampering with gloves and shit like that and probably taking maybe not no developed steroid because it wasn't about, but they're probably taking something. I mean, Aaron Pryor didn't use a steroid when he was fighting Alexis Arguello, when Panama Lewis said, give me the bottle, give me the bottle. The man gave him the bottle. No, not that one. Give me the one I mixed. What do you mean the one you mixed? Oh, the one with the crushed up asthma tablet in it. That one. That's not a steroid. You know what I mean? When was all these good old days? I hear people condemning the modern day athletes. Well, they're only doing what they think they can get away with for the financial rewards, right? Ask Sven Otke's opponents about the good old days. When he held a portion of the super middleweight title. And challengers used to travel over to Germany. And several of them got robbed. No allegations of PEDs. I mean, these guys sacrificed their time training. They could have got injured in training, brain injuries, any kind of injuries, just to get robbed. A great saying that has bestowed this earth is out of sight, out of mind. I said in a previous video, if you remember, perception is half your battle in this world. It's getting people to perceive you the way you want them to. Not necessarily who you actually are. How you want to be perceived. Or maybe how the puppet masters behind you want the public to perceive you. That is half your battle in life. Whether you're real with that shit or you're trying to pull one over the eyes of many. I mean, I've heard they do bodybuilding competitions where it's really stringently regulated. And basically you couldn't get aspirin through there. I've heard that. And I heard that it's not very impressive to look at compared to the not so stringently tested ones. You know? And you see, bodybuilding is an extreme example of most sports because it's narcissistic. Look at my traps, my biceps, and you know, they're actually showing their body parts. Look at that, look at that. Yeah? So it's not a far stretch of the imagination to imagine that such a narcissistic sport would turn out a lot of drug takers, illegal drug takers, so they can further their careers. It's not such a far stretch of the imagination. And let's face it, that narcissism stretches into other sports. I mean, I've heard of football or what you might call soccer players who have taken drugs. What about Diego Maradona in the 1994 World Cup? Where he had to leave out the tournament halfway through and I don't know if they caught him or some test came up or something and he had to leave the tournament. You know? See, but I find it funny is how Lamont Peterson, James Toney, all their names have been dirtied. But Maradona, his name hasn't been dirtied. People still consider him the second best player behind Pele. Many people say first. Many people say he's better than Pele. Yeah? But he got caught with the drugs in the 1994 World Cup. Yeah? And in the 86 World Cup, where he done the handball, the blatant handball against England, where he handled the ball into the net. Why I'm calling it the Honda God. Yeah? And he didn't own up. But yet, when people talk about this guy, he's like a living legend. So it's funny how we categorize what boxes of people we're going to give a pass and still hero worship them and the others we're not. It's funny how we do that, you know? I mean, let's face it. The capitalistic world model or governing system that most westernized Europeans run, let's get that straight, I'm not dragging it into race, I'm just bearing out the facts so they're all out there, is a very cosmetic affair. Yeah? It's a very cosmetic affair. Let's face it. I mean, there's a lot of black men out there. Oh, I don't like how the way that sister's wearing a weave or a wig and this and that, yeah? But let me tell you, some of you are just full of it. You're full of some bullshit. Yeah? Because and I'm just going to go out on a limb, I'm going to say, if 98% of you had the choice of some really dark-skinned sister who looked like she just come from the sub-Saharan continent and just had her hair natural, maybe she's got it groomed, but it's natural. There's no chemicals that they use in bums and fucking whatever to straighten it out. Just, you know what I mean? Natural hair. Natural hair. Dark-skinned sister. No bleaching. Untampered. If you had a choice out of her or, I don't know, Beyonce, Rihanna, you know what I mean? Any of the processed head gal out there who's big out there, or a Jennifer Lopez or a Kim Kardashian, listen, you know what you're going to do. You know what you're going to take. Don't try to pretend you're something like you're not, yeah? We was all born seeing the same images and grew up seeing them. Black women with straight hair, yeah? Some trying to lighten their skin, yeah? So don't try to say it hasn't had no effect on you. Oh, man, I'm just like a sub-Saharan brother. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're nothing like them. We're nothing like a lot of our brothers from the sub-Saharan continent. That is the truth. Nothing. Yeah? Let's get that straight. Natural. Pure natural. Like what? Like when you stole some answers to pass a test in school or college or an IQ test for your job. But you feel justified in doing that, don't you? You feel justified in doing that. Oh well, if I didn't do it, someone else would have done it and I wouldn't be able to maintain. Well, what do you think these sportsmen felt? Why are you separating your life from theirs? Why are you holding them to a higher standard than you're operating yourself? You see, as human beings, and especially men, we seem to think we're superior to our child or animal thinks. When in all truth, we're not. I mean, we're nothing like, and I'm talking about boxing here, the boxing community. We're no different than a little child crying his eyes out because his pops has left the family home to be with another woman. Yeah? Every night you go to bed crying, wishing that it was like how it used to be. But yo, shit changes. Yeah? Can't push that genie back in the bottle. As I make this video, there's someone out there trying to make an untraceable drug because he knows when he perfects it, he can just rake in the dough, as Ziggy said in that hip-hop joint years back. He can just be raking in the dough, kid. That's why he's doing it. Yeah? You know, people are always trying to get one over the system. Whether that's the political, sporting, I don't know. Whether it's you trying to get some panani. People do what they've got to do. They do what they've got to do. I mean, come on. This is a boxing video. So I'm just going to say, all right, just so I don't sound like a sexist pig who's totally out of touch with what women do these days. I'm going to say 75% of you are dudes who are watching, who are listening to this audio. Yeah? So you're telling me you've never said something to a gal so you can game her. You know what I mean? So you can get some rhythm from it. Yeah? You've never did that. Yeah? And now you're going to say, well, you can't compare that to sport. Why can't I? Women are very sensitive. You're playing with her emotions. She might never recover from whatever game you ran on her. Yeah? It's just as deceptive as any famous boxer doing what he did, yeah, with PEDs. It's not going to get plastered all over the internet or in newspapers or in the media. You get what I'm saying? This is real shit here. This is real shit. I remember when I used to live in Tottenham, there was this kid named Peter. He was about 2 years younger than me. And he was telling me about this football match he had at his school, St. Thomas More School. And I heard the story before he told me because everybody was talking about it around the way. And it was a cup match. And they was losing 1-0 or something like that. And they was favoured to win it. They was favoured to win the tournament. So, I can't remember the guy's name. He was quite famous at the time, their sports teacher. And he was refereeing the game. And Peter, the guy I was talking to, was the captain. And apparently, Peter must have run past him. And I think his name was Eddie McCluskey for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, the referee. And he told Peter, run into the penalty box and fall over, and I'm going to give a penalty. And he did. And there was a big furor over that, like all around the borough about what happened. And he did, and they blew the whistle up. And I think they went on to win the game or something, you know. And that's comprehensive school. Anything competitive in life, anything competitive, I don't care what it is, will be manipulated. No matter how we feel boxing is sacred, it's not that sacred. Was it sacred when parts of the crowd were stopping Tom Molyneux from beating Tom Cribb in the 18th century? Or like when George Dixon had to learn how to box from out of the ropes and out of the corner because they were trying to break his legs with sticks while he was fighting. Well, I mean, these sacred shit. I mean, what about when Ali fought Liston? There was definitely something on Liston's gloves. What went in Ali's eyes? I mean, history could have been totally different if he didn't overcome that moment. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm afraid this system is designed for all of us to have a certain amount of skeletons in our closet from the skullduggery we did to gain or get somewhere, you know what I mean? Just is what it is. And don't get me wrong, man. As cynical as I am, I'm a positive person, yeah? You always have to look on the upside, and we have to say, yeah, we have to clean up the blood clot sport, you know what I mean? And look, I don't want to have to always be negative, but different commissions of boxing all around the world are going to have different rules here and different means of testing from that body in that state and that country and so and so. To get joined up thinking on the issue of PEDs in boxing right now is not as straightforward as just saying, yeah, clean the sport up. It just isn't. It just isn't. Yeah? One thing they maybe could do is that when you turn pro and you have to get a professional boxer's license. There must be some kind of contract drawn up. Maybe they just need to redraw the contract. That if you get caught taking any kind of PED, there'll be some kind of jail sentence and you'll have to pay back all your purse money since you turned pro. I don't know, just something, I mean, it needs something hard. So any rewards that you can get out of taking them is outweighed by the punishment if you get caught. It needs to go that way. It needs to go that way. If it doesn't, I don't know what to say, because even if what I just said there was implemented, it still wouldn't clean it up. Still wouldn't clean it up. But it will probably scare off more boxers than the current system is currently doing. I see a lot of the complaints out there about PEDs, and I don't know. I'm just sensing a little bit of naivety in some of us out there. I mean, this is what you're dealing with. This is what you're really fucking with. Like I said, if politics is dirty, why the fuck wouldn't boxing be dirty? Come on, man. Remember the Liverpool football team, Bruce Grobbelaar, the goalkeeper. This was years back when they all got caught betting on the games and Grobbelaar was letting in penalties and letting in goals. And all the time we're watching Match of the Day, we're saying, how did he let that goal in? Oh, it was just an error. They tricked us. You know what I mean? And this was some serious betting syndicate who was making, I don't know how much, millions, you know what I mean, off that. It wasn't Premiership then, I don't think. It was First Division football. And they was making big money off that. And okay, you can say, what's that got to do with PEDs? Yeah, you could say that. But it's morality at the end of the day, isn't it? It's all morality. You don't get to choose which parts of morality are okay and which are not. You don't get to do that. You know? It's like outside the Mexican boxing community, I think Antonio Margarito was the most hated figure in boxing after he got caught in a Shane Mosley match. That he had bricks in his gloves. Yeah? He was the most hated man. More than somebody with PEDs. You know what I mean? Because I think what it is, you could actually visibly see the effects right there in the ring. You know, Cotto's face was all bust up and mash up, and let's face it, Cotto was dominating the fight until my man threw a couple of shots and it seemed like, damn, what's happened to him? You mean all of a sudden he looks a wreck. You know what I mean? But you see, there goes our flawed logic as human beings. I mean, just because the PED user isn't taking lumps out of a man's face, you know what I mean, right there, he's still, in the long run, doing damage because he can train twice as long and do a lot more shit than someone who isn't using. So, you know, we have to start getting our thinking in order of what we think is bad or what we think is good. But yo, in the long run, we the boxing fans ain't gonna do shit. We're just gonna be as apathetic as ever. You know what I mean? The same attitude is, well, boxing beats and rhymes ain't doing nothing. I ain't do shit either. All we're gonna do is come online, complain, bitch, call all the fighters that we don't like names, shit like that, yeah, right? Voice our disgust with certain boxing boards and commissions, trainers, coaches, boxers, promoters, and we're gonna be all saying that we're done with the sport now, it's fucked up, you know what I mean? And then there'll be an announcement of a fight that no boxing fan can resist. You know? I mean, a Gamboa versus Broner. And the next thing, you know what I mean, you're making prediction videos. You're posting your thoughts online. You've got post-fight, you know what I mean, videos ready. You know what I mean? You probably even throw some parties in your houses. Me too. Yeah? Because that's what we're like. So yeah, we should talk about how to clean up the sport as boxing fans between us. Because, you know, we should do. You know, because yeah, I understand where the deliberate naivety on all of our behalves comes from. I understand where that comes from. I understand where the optimism comes from, because nobody wants to live in the pit of purgatory where there's no hope, there's no solutions. Nobody wants to live there. Yeah? I mean, we at least want to have a small percentage of our brain which thinks we're watching something that's fair and earnest. You know what I mean? And there'll be a righteous vindication at the end of it. You know what I mean? So I get all that. But yeah, let's talk about cleaning up the sport of boxing, even though society is filthy. And capitalism will win out every time until the system goes kaput. Peace out.